Howdy, welcome to how to do a for loop statement in Java. If you're with us in the last video, we just went over how to do an if statement. And so an if statement helped us to run blocks of code if a condition was met. And now we're gonna go over something a little more complex. It's a for statement, but it's fairly similar. So the for statement is laid out a little bit like the if statement, where we're gonna type for. We're going to put some things in the parentheses, and then after, we're going to run that block of code between the curly brackets, right? So the way it works in Java is for, we're going to initialize a variable and set a variable. So we're going to say for int I equals 0, and we're going to say while a condition is met, keep running this loop. And I'm going to go over this again because I know that can seem a little confusing. So while I is less than, we'll say 5, and then what to do at the end of the for loop. And we're going to make I become a counter variable, and it's going to increment by 1 every time we run the for loop. And we're going to go ahead and just say sys out, if I can type, and we're going to print I. Okay, so let's go over this again. So we had the if statement, right? And in the if statement, we had a condition, and we said if x is less than y, do this. In the for loop, it's similar, right? In this first one right here, that's us initializing. That is saying, for the for loop, we're going to use this variable right here. Most likely, we're going to use this variable right here to say how many times to run this block of code within the for loop. So right here, we have int I equals 0, and now we're going to put a statement that says, okay, we have our 0, I is 0 right now. We're going to want to run this for loop while I is less than 5, and that's going to make sense when we pair it with the fact that at the end of the for loop, we're always incrementing I by 1. So you go through I is 0. Okay, I is 0 right now. Is I less than 5? Yes, it's less than 5. Go into the curly brackets, print I. Go back to the top. But I is no longer 0. I is now 1 because at the end we set I plus plus, which means increment by 1. So now I is 1, which is still less than 5. So it runs again. It's going to run 5 times essentially. Now, if I did less than or equal to 5, it's going to run 6 times. So make sure you're watching, kind of watching your variables there. And same thing as last time. We're going to come here, we're going to compile it, and then we're going to run it. Boom, runs 5 times. But again, look, you see how it started with 0? It's because it ran 5 times, so the loop ran 5 times, but it may not be printing what you want. But one little adjustment, 1 less than or equal to, save, do it again. Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hopefully this helps. For loops are super powerful. You can nest for loops, so you can say for loop. I made a web scraper last year with 3 or 4 nested for loops. Super cool stuff. They're very powerful. I've never done a program without them, so just play around with it. It's not too difficult once you really get the hang of it and you can visualize it. I recommend maybe even just like writing on paper, like every time it runs through, what code was run, what the I variable is, and then compare it to the conditional, and then go all the way through. So that's been how to use a for loop in Java. I hope you guys enjoyed.